Would be good.
Reset that.
It's okay, 2 minutes difference.
Hi, welcome to Neighborhood News. I'm John Sylvia here with Carlos Cesar. It's another Tuesday, Carlos?
Yes, yes, you already know, right?
Yeah, I already know.
Tuesday, it's 7 o'clock, and Channel 95, we have another Neighborhood News for you, and like I do in every show, we want to welcome the Portuguese community. Sejam bem-vindos a mais programa das suas notícias da sua vizinhança. Hoje é terça-feira, são 7 da noite e nós cá estamos no seu canal 95 para mais programa de notícias da sua vizinhança. Hoje temos convidados em estúdio novamente, como acontece todas as semanas, e vamos falar neste show hoje, vai ser do museu aqui dos bombeiros de Fall River.
Okay.
Very good. We back?
I understood everything you said, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it,
All right,
though.
good. Well, tonight we have Mike LePage, who's the president of the Fire Museum, and also Scott Boyer, who's the treasurer of the Fire Museum. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to follow whatever
We
he
have a
says.
comedy show?
Yes.
No. So, how did this start, guys, with you trying to get together this Fire Museum?
Well, I'll start off because I've got a little bit of the history on that. In 2007, a gentleman named Kenny Ledger, he was trying to get a museum off the ground, and we took a trip to New Bedford and saw their museum, their fire museum, and wondered why Fall River, who obviously has a very long and extensive list of catastrophic fires, and why we don't have one. Certainly deserving of having a museum to showcase this, some of this history. So we came back with that passion, and then right away I started to try to recruit some people, and I contacted Scott, and Scott jumped on board. So he was one of the early members.
I jumped on board right away.
Yep. And I just stepped back and just introduced myself a little bit. Again, my name is Mike LePage, and I've also been on the fire department since 1993. Served the city in that capacity, and I'll let Scott speak a little bit about himself as well.
Yeah, Scott Boyer, Deputy Director of Emergency Management in Fall River, also Captain of Fire Department Special Services. We're a volunteer group, and I've been volunteering with them since 2006.
Yeah, my hat's off to Scott, because it's all about volunteerism, and he doesn't get paid for what he does, and I applaud him for that. They were also awarded the Hometown Hero Award. Was it last year?
Yeah, last September.
Last September.
Yeah.
Cool. So how many volunteers are in this effort?
We have about 20 for the museum. We have we have 8.
There's 7 currently.
7 currently.
Okay.
8 soon to be on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are really busy then, trying to get this together. That's
Oh
for
yeah.
sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah, never ending.
Okay. So you folks that said you went to the New Bedford Museum, are there other area museums in
Yeah, there's one in Brockton. There's one in Boston.
Okay.
I've been to one up in Cranston.
Okay. All right. And so how have you been able to take and try to get some of their best practices to get this together here?
Get some ideas. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, especially from the one in New Bedford. New Bedford is they're an old fire station as we are,
Okay.
and they have a lot of stuff in there. We got a lot of good ideas from them.
Yes.
So where, a lot of folks probably don't know this. You guys are trying to do this on North Main Street, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so with those other museums like New Bedford and Cranston, what is, and I'm trying to think of the word, the number of people that are going, the number of visitors do they get a year approximately, do you think?
I know the one in Boston. They're very busy. They get a lot of visitors there. Of course, it's a major city.
Yeah.
A lot of history there. New Bedford, I'm not quite sure about New
Bedford is
Bedford.
seasonal. They open up in the summer, spring through fall, and certain days of the week and on a weekend, and then they're closed in the winter, but by appointment they're open. We're going to do something similar to that.
Okay. So and New Bedford, are they located where the Whaling Museum is, or is it, because I'm trying to figure out here.
Yeah.
No, they're in a neighborhood. They're on Durfee Street or something, I believe.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't recall the
All right.
street,
Wow.
but it's a much larger station.
Okay.
So even if, we were able to get the thing fully operational, we would only be about a quarter of the size, because the building's just much larger where they're at.
Right.
So,
Well, what have you guys been able to acquire for this museum so far? Do you have a fire truck yet, or?
Yeah, we do. We have one.
Okay.
We have a couple of trucks.
Yeah.
We have one that, we actually have a 1937 Seagrave ladder truck
Okay.
that actually served in the fire station where we want to have the museum.
Okay.
It's in rough shape and needs a lot of work. And we have an active fundraiser right now to try to raise some funds to get that project up and running.
Okay. And what have you been doing for that fundraiser? What is that fundraiser? Is it? I know you guys a couple weeks
We have
back.
awareness booths at different functions. We just had a comedy show last month, a couple months ago. We've done clam boils and dinner dances, and we have a fire muster every year
Okay.
in June.
Okay. Cool.
we also have, in addition to that, the city has a 1936 Maxim pumper that they kept. It's in one of the fire stations, and the city will be letting us borrow that truck. It'll still be a city piece,
Wow.
but it'll be, and the interesting part about that fire station is that when it ran as a fire station back when it closed in 2002, before that, it was what they call an engine and ladder house. So you had a ladder truck on one side, and then you had an engine on the other side. The nice part about it is, by having the 36 Maxim pumper and the 37 Seagrave ladder that ran out of that station, you're capturing a picture in time of the 30s, which is what you would have seen in that station at the time.
It's almost like a perfect marriage.
And anything else over and above that would be just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, if we gonna talk about getting this project by steps, I'm pretty sure you follow into a step way to get your goal from point A to point B.
Right.
How are we right now on that process to getting from one place to another?
Yeah. Yeah, well, like, as you mentioned earlier, when we were talking earlier, when you're doing a certain project, there are certain steps that you need to follow. Right now, we are currently in the paperwork phase of the project. We're trying to get all of the paperwork lined up. We need to go for variances. I need to go to Boston to get a variance for the sprinkler and the sprinkler review board. Handicap issues, I have to go for variance in Boston for that. Local building permits. We had a gentleman, his name is Tony Dias, he's an architect, and great guy. He donated all his time, and he drew the entire museum, inside and outside, and so we have those plans that we can use. We had to get a structural engineer to certify the floor for the weight. That just happened. So there are certain steps that have to fall into play in order to get us to that soft opening we're looking for, similar to the Children's Museum.
And are you on the right place right now?
We are not in the right place right now. We are a little bit behind. We were hoping for a soft opening for the spring
Yeah.
or late winter, but it's looking like it might be pushed back a little bit more. It's just unfortunate because the building's very old. It needs some work to it. And but we do have a lot of people that have come out to offer their services and volunteer. And I really don't want to mention them right yet because we're still working on it, but the community's been wonderful in that aspect.
So the city donated that building to the museum, right? Or
No,
is it
not,
We have a lease.
a lease on it? Okay, all right. Okay, has the city provided anything in the way of helping you guys out with the museum? Because I think this could kind of play into, a lot of times at the Battleship, you have a lot of these young kids, scouts that are there. And I think that's something that, you know.
The city's actually still utilizing part of the building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, half is the fire station side, the other half is the police station side. And the city is still utilizing the police side for the animal control officer.
Okay.
So there's still a presence in that building.
Okay, so
All
even,
times.
even with the museum, you think, is it going to stay that way? They're going to keep it that way?
It's going to stay that way for the time being.
Yeah.
If we grow in the future, we need more room, then maybe we can revisit the lease and see if we can occupy a bigger space. But right now, you know, you need to take baby steps and just go at it slowly. And the city, through their lease agreement, they are providing quite a bit there, helping us out in that regard. And in turn, our payback is to get the city a restored building somewhat and museum to showcase. So it's a partnership.
So as far as the building needing the work, though, is the city doing that?
No, that's going to be on us.
Okay.
The city will help us whenever they can with materials and certain aspects of the job. Yes.
So as far as, you know, the other museums that you went to, did they look at, you know, how to draw people in? You know, because now we have the Children's Museum, which I think is, you know, is a good thing that other cities have drawn on. Have you guys thought of, you know, how to draw folks in, like the Scouts and stuff like that?
Yes, we actually have. Our mission statement is to educate the public in fire safety.
Okay.
So keep that in mind, because that's where I'm going with that.
Okay.
To showcase the history of the Fall River Fire Department and its long list of really devastating fires, and to memorialize our brother firefighters who died in the line of duty in Fall River. So getting back to the educational piece, the gentleman I mentioned earlier, he's the secretary/clerk, his name Kenny Ledger. He's in fire prevention. He's a fire inspector, and that's what he does. He goes to schools and he teaches kids about fire safety. That's his specialty, and it's great to have him on board because he brings that to the party, and he's got a lot of innovative ideas. I know he spoke with me recently and said that, you know, we need to step it up, and instead of just being a sort of a boring museum with display cases full of dust, he says we need to be more interactive. Kids want to come in and they want to be able to push buttons and see videos and do things. And so he's got these ideas of displays he wants to set up that are interactive, which is wonderful. I like that. And that's not really a cue that we picked up from other museums, really. That was just something that we feel we need to do. To be ahead of the curve a little bit.
No, that is. That's. I mean, you're right. I mean, young kids now. When we were younger, you didn't have all this. You know, the computer games and stuff. Where now, and I think the Museum of Science in Boston's that way. A lot of the stuff is interactive, and I think that's how kids learn.
Absolutely.
So that's good then. So it's pretty much though all volunteers. So you guys are not getting paid for this.
Yep, it's all volunteers.
All volunteer.
Yeah, all 8 of us. Can I just speak a little bit about how we got to where we are?
Yeah, no, that'd be good. That'd be good.
In 2007, again, going back, when I mentioned earlier, at that time, we partnered with the Preservation Society of Fall River, which I'm a board member of, and their mission, obviously, is to preserve historic buildings and parks and neighborhoods and things like that through their 40C effort, in the city is one of them. So we partnered with them, and they've helped us along greatly. We were able to fall under their 501c3 umbrella for a nonprofit status, and we're currently working on getting our own. And so we've been with them all this time, and then we started recruiting, you know, firefighters and people from emergency management and people from outside the fire department. There's one gentleman that runs his own museum in the city who's involved with us. There's a retired chief in New Bedford that's involved with us. So there's like different walks of life that are coming in. We want to expand that. We actually, you know, if anybody's interested in helping us out, we're looking for people with expertise, people with computer skills, people that are good at fundraising, people that are good at carpentry skills, different things like that, so that, you know, you have that ability to shift when you need something, a special project done. You can kind of go to that person and say, okay, Scott, you want to run that fundraiser for me?
So let me ask you this, how you guys started. So whose idea was this to bring this together? Did it started out of the Preservation Society?
No, it actually was Kenny. It was actually, I got to give it to Kenny Ledger, because he was pretty much the original guy. Yeah.
Okay.
You saw he had that vision, and it's you know, it's not an easy task. I mean, he did a little bit of research online, and he determined that it takes about 10 years of constant fundraising for a typical fire museum to get off the ground. We're in year 5, so
Okay. No, that's not too
you
bad.
know,
I mean,
and
yeah.
we've made quite a bit of
I was
progress.
just gonna say, we're doing all right.
We are.
Well, you know, it's, if you're all volunteers, I mean, nobody's doing this full-time.
No.
So it is difficult, you know,
Exactly.
to get this in. And we know how many nonprofits in the city, you know, are constantly having fundraisers, if it's not the neighborhood associations or, you know, the tree planting or all the other nonprofits, that you're competing too.
And
Right.
it's,
with
I'm
all these
glad you
interests
mentioned
all
that,
the time.
because we're finding that
Yeah.
in the economy that we're in right now, that seems to be the case, that happens a lot, so. And, you know, and it's difficult too, because you don't want to keep going back to the same audience all the time. You want to sort of branch out and just get different people involved. You know?
Well, you know, and I think that's with anything you're gonna notice with your group, you have the same folks that are doing this all the time, and it's very hard to get anybody involved, because once somebody gets involved, then you kind of, you know, grab onto them, and you want them to
Right.
help you with everything, and you
Yeah.
don't want to burn people out either.
Exactly.
That's true. That's
But you're
very
right,
true.
that's, and I think that's probably one good thing about Fall River, is that we do have a lot of people that want to volunteer, but it's not as big a number of people as it could be, because it seems like,
Yeah.
you know, whenever
More
you
is
go.
always better.
Yeah, more is always better, you're right, and when you go around, you see, you know, because the Preservation Society, I know they had, a couple months back, they had a yard sale that I went to, and it's like, yep, I see, these are the same people I see at this thing, and I
Yeah.
see at this thing,
Yeah.
this thing, this thing.
Where was the
So,
yard sale?
it was at your,
was at the
at your,
museum.
at your fire museum, so yeah.
The
so
following
it's-
week, we had one for the fire museum, so. Some of the other items too that in addition to the fire trucks that we talked about, that we have, that'll be on display, is we were able to acquire a piece of 9/11 steel from the World Trade Center, and that is a precious gift that is on loan to the fire museum. We're the stewards of that. It's a small piece, about 3 feet long, and it's twisted, ripped, burned. I mean, Scott can tell you,
There's a lot of,
there's a lot going on.
there's a lot of character to it, if you will.
And that's going to be in the area in the museum that's going to pretty much highlight and showcase the firefighters that died along duty in Fall River, and of course, you know, throughout the nation. But we were really proud to receive that. There was only so many museums. You had to be a museum, and you had to be I think a memorial, and we're both. So we were able to get that, and in addition to that, we've been getting private collections from retired firefighters. We've gone around to all the fire stations and sort of cleaned out the basement and got a lot of old tools and relics and things
Yeah.
like that. And then, I mean, every time we do an awareness event, and Scott will tell you, make sure you bring a pad and pencil, because somebody's going to come along and say, hey, I got pictures of Notre Dame.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and this
Every
and that,
event,
and
somebody has something to
it's
donate, or
unbelievable. And
pictures or something.
we haven't even gone in the paper and said, we're looking for this stuff. This
No.
stuff is just coming to us, and it's filling up the museum.
And what's the size?
The size of the building, oh geez, what would you say, Scott? It's, I want to
Big by big.
yeah.
Big, yeah.
I want
A lot to
to,
clean
Is
up.
it just the first
it's
floor?
just the first floor. I want to say maybe, what,
Yeah.
38 feet long by maybe
Maybe 30, probably, it looked like.
Maybe 30 feet.
20, 25, something like that,
Yeah.
feet wide. Because it's basically what it is that building, it was built in 1872, and it's unlike the other stations in the city. There's one in the Flint, there's one on Freedom Street that's just like that. As a matter of fact, the one that's on Freedom Street is the reverse of our floor plan. And what it is you almost picture it as the building being divided in half, so you can't go from one side to the other. So the police have one side, basement, first floor, second floor, and attic, same thing on the fire side. So on the fire side, what we have is a 2-bay station on the first floor with a small room in the back. And then you go up the stairs to the second floor, and then you got the bunk rooms and the 2 officers' rooms, the kitchen, stuff like that. Interestingly enough, it's stuff popping up in my head. We actually, and Scott can speak to this. This is gonna be Scott's baby, because he was there that night. We had a group, New England Paranormal Research, approach us and they wanted to investigate the building. Scott
And it was
in.
quite interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
They found a few things, but the most interesting part of the night was at the very beginning of the night, they had a medium show up, and she walked through the building. And the stuff that she saw, she says that there's 3 firefighters there up on the second floor. She could see them. She said something about there was animals in the basement. What else was there?
The people in the basement near that back door, she didn't want to go
Oh,
in
yeah,
that room.
she didn't,
With
in
it.
the basement, you get the fire side, and in the basement is the only place where you can access both sides. So we were going from the fire side to the police side, and she would not go into the police side. She was afraid.
That's where the jail cells are.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And she would not go in there. She was afraid of the spirits that were in there.
So maybe, you know, this could probably be another thing for you guys. You could set up ghost tours
Another-
around Halloween, right?
Well, actually, it's interesting because one of the gentlemen that was a part of that group, he's good friends with one of the people that runs Taps.
Okay.
And the guy, he's very interested in coming and checking it out, so absolutely, we're open up to it. So it's interesting, there's a lot of things
Yeah.
going on. There's rumors that Lizzie Borden was held in that police side on her way to her trial in time,
Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
so.
So, because, thinking of it, I remember going there last summer, so the 2 bays, which you have a truck, right? You have 1 truck, or do you have 2 trucks?
We got 2.
All right, so the trucks would go there, and
Yep.
then that back room is where you'd have the rest of the...
That's where we'd have our
Some
displays
displays,
and
yep.
things like that, yeah,
Okay, all right,
absolutely.
cool.
And then plus, we can, I'm thinking about maybe doing a timeline wall inside the apparatus bay where you can have a picture, with such and such mill fire with the date above it and information and then an arrow to the next one. I mean, you could literally go around. There's so many fires.
And is it going to be the upstairs? Will the people
The
go up?
upstairs is an issue for handicap. Down the road, if we can raise enough money to put an
We would
elevator
like
in
to.
there,
Yeah,
we're thinking the elevator would fit perfectly in the hose tower.
yeah. See, I kind of thought it'd be cool for the kids, now thinking of it, to be able to jump down the pole. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if that's what
unfortunately,
insurance policy...
that's a
That'd
liability.
be kind of cool.
But what we will do is, we'll do something like we've seen in another museum, which I won't mention which one it was, but they actually had a mock-up of that for kids, a smaller pole
yeah.
with the pads and stuff like that. They go up a set of stairs and they come down. And they have a little area where you can dress up,
Yeah.
put some coats on and helmets and things like that, so.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas for it.
Can you, any ideas of doing your own fundraisers at the building?
It's really not set up for that. Or certainly, one of the ideas we had was, we were wondering if it would work if we had like maybe like a Thursday night or a certain night of the week where we could open the building up maybe twice a month or once a week if it was that popular, and have retired firefighters night. The guys can come in, play cards, have donuts and coffee, and
Tell
so
war
that-
stories.
Tell war stories, which would be beneficial to the museum.
That's what I want to hear, the war stories.
And perhaps maybe generate a little revenue there. That's one of the ideas, but as far as fundraising within the building, I don't really see that because it doesn't hold a lot of people. One of the things we may do is our fire apparatus show that we have annually. Is this the 3rd or 4th year?
This will be our 4th.
4th year coming up. It's going to be in June this year. What we'll do is, if that event grows in any way, we're thinking about having that in North Park, which is where it used to be back in the 1800s. When the city had musters, they actually had them behind the fire station in the park. So, that was
So,
interesting.
what, outside of the building, do you have a fundraiser coming up in the near future?
Not one currently. We do have a few ideas floating around. Scott
Yeah.
actually brought one to
Poker tournament,
a poker tournament. Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
Cool. Actually, it wouldn't be a bad idea to try to get that medium back again when people are there. That might be
Yeah.
something to tell those stories there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Especially around Halloween.
Absolutely.
So that's cool.
So the goal is to get the building done.
Yes.
You have a date?
Well, our goal is, right now, in that back room, that's where we're looking at doing the soft opening. That back room for the display areas, and we'll have a small little gift shop back there. And then eventually get the apparatus bay up and running, or a portion of it. The biggest obstacle we're gonna have to overcome within the museum the walls themselves, is that ladder truck. because that ladder truck needs a lot of work. It's basically a rusted Hulk. It doesn't need to run to be in the museum, but it's going to need a paint job. We actually purchased a truck. Scott can actually elaborate on that too. The one we got from Florida.
Yeah, we purchased a truck from Florida for parts for the ladder truck, and we got quite a bit off that truck.
We got all the gold off of it.
Yeah.
All the chrome pieces and the bell and the
Yeah,
siren.
a lot of what we
and
needed
all the
was on
stuff
that
we
truck.
need.
It
Yep.
was a good find.
Yep.
Cool.
So,
All right, so you anticipate being able to open sometime in the spring? I mean,
Well,
sometime in the
we were
winter, you said,
hoping.
right? You're hoping
Yeah.
at that point?
probably going to be pushed back a little bit, maybe towards the fall more.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and what do you anticipate the hours when you do open it up? Is it going to be something that, because it's obviously going to be volunteers that are going to be
Yeah.
there to do that?
At first, we
right?
probably do by appointment.
By appointment, and I'm thinking in the summer months, we want to do
On the
probably want to do
weekends.
the weekends,
Yeah.
certainly.
Okay.
And on special events, Firefighter Sunday, Memorial Sunday, perhaps we could, include that as part of our memorial services that day. A lot of that's still up for debate and discussion, but, yeah.
I mean, in neighborhoods, I'm pretty sure every neighborhood in this city has a little bit of history
Mhm.
to bring down to the museum, you know.
Yes.
I mean, the Flint definitely had to be the Notre Dame
Mhm.
fire, but every neighborhood has a little bit of history.
It does, and I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I think this is great that they're doing it. I mean, and this probably comes a little bit from the Preservation Society, because I think sometimes compared to other communities, we don't appreciate the history that we have here. We have a lot of history here
do.
that I think needs to be protected, and by opening this, you're going to be able to show that history,
Yep.
Yep.
So that, I
Absolutely.
think that's great. I think that is really
And
great.
I think next year, Morton's going to be reopen
Mhm.
the brand-new school. I can very easily see some classes visiting
Yes,
the museum, just a walk. It's just a
Yes.
walk from the school
Right.
there.
exactly.
Exactly.
And use, realize and teach the young generation about history, and
Yeah,
that's a perfect place to do a walk.
I think,
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
with regards to Carlos and being involved with the Flint Neighborhood Association, he's very familiar with the old Flint Fire Station on Pleasant Street, and he sees how beautiful that building renovated. It's the same architect and it's the same building.
Okay.
That it would look just like that once it's all cleaned up, the way it is, right next to the school. That'll be
I was there today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I stopped there a lot because one of my members from the association, she's there, the sign place.
Cool,
She's
cool.
there, and it's a beautiful building inside.
Yes.
They kept the whatever they could keep from the original walls from the building. They kept it, so it's a beautiful building.
Mhm. I remember going in
Wow.
there as a child. My father worked in that station.
And the floors, unbelievable. The floors, the way they kept them.
So guys, if who would they contact if somebody wants to help you guys out and volunteer? Is there a number that somebody can call, or?
Yeah, there actually is. We have a Facebook page,
Okay.
and we also have, if you go to the Preservation Society of Fall Rivers website, I think it's preservationsocietyofFallRiver.org,
Okay.
or just Google that phrase, and we have a tab on there, Fire Museum
Okay.
tab. You can click on that and get in touch with us that way. Or you can, we have a mailbox outside the station, 1181 North Main Street,
Okay.
02720. And I don't recall the phone number because we just got a new phone number with an answering machine attached. I should have had that prepared.
Yeah.
But I believe it's in the phone book, or it's going to be in the phone book if it isn't already.
Right.
Or you can I even Googled that too, and I found the phone number that
Okay,
way.
no, that's fine. I mean, I think, you can get on the Facebook thing, there's a way to contact
Oh,
you, and then
absolutely.
the address that you
Yep.
gave, so that's
Yep.
great.
And it's time to go.
That's it, that was quick.
Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
by,
Thanks.
and
Appreciate it.
see you next week.
Yep, have a good night.
Night.